It's kind of like a mishmash of different bikes, but it kind of like in a good way. It handles a lot better than an old Airhead would, but it still kind of captures the same look as an old Airhead Cafe. The ultimate goal was to have something that looked vintage, but at the same time rode kind of almost like a modern bike. A lot of vintage bikes tend to like not handle or ride very well, and that's just fine. But we wanted something that like could ride every day and not really worry about it too much. That could kind of handle the corners and kind of could go as fast as it looked.
My name is Brian Sloma, and this is Spirit Lake Cycles. It's a shop that we have in downtown. I do all the fabrication.
Hey, my name is Ken Chan, and I collaborate with Brian here with the ultimate design of the bike. We came up with the name Miss Thriller for the bike because Brian comes from Spirit Lake, Iowa, and at Spirit Lake, there's an old speedboat from the 20s named Miss Thriller, and it was kind of like a cursed speedboat. It sank. There was like a bunch of incidents, and it was just kind of like a kind of like a cursed name, and so I thought this is like it's a unique, fun name for the bike. Yeah, the name is inspired by the speedboat, but the design aspect is more like E-Type Jaguar, the subtle white pinstriping on the paint, and like kind of like the speed holes. It's all very minimalist too. Anything that's not required, it does not have, and so that's kind of like the overall mantra for this bike.
The front of the bike is all custom. This whole shield piece I fabricated from scratch, and it's kind of interesting looking because it blends the handlebars and the headlight all into one piece. So how this works is it slides, you pull off the tree and it slides over as one whole piece, so you don't have any clip-on look to the bike as far as on the handlebars. So this is all one piece that I fabricated from scratch using a Triumph headlight, and then it's all been bodywork smooth and pinstriped. The top piece I made all this is all handmade, and it bolts on to kind of give this flow across the tank, kind of the same shape as the tank. The tank itself is a Norton Commando model that's been modified a little bit. It's been modified in the front here to house your ignition switch and then start switch on the other side. And then the shape of it's been changed, so it usually has like a big kick up, and we flattened that out to kind of match the shape of the BMW. As we move along, the seat is all custom made, kind of has that Jag-inspired look like we talked about earlier with the holes down the center. Also has these kind of speed holes to let air in because the exhaust is housed in the tail section of the bike, so you need it to breathe a little bit. This is all custom subframe made with shortened and hooped, and then it houses the exhaust inside the tail as well as the LED taillight. And I made all this stuff. This is all made from hand to kind of mimic the look of the tank and the front end of the bike, and then all painted and pinstriped in the Jaguar colors.
Well, originally the frame of the bike was silver, but since we wanted to go with more like a silver tank to go with kind of like with the Jaguar E-Type lightweight kind of theme, we decided to go and powder coat the frame white. I think it also keeps it light but doesn't kind of overuse the silver element. And we also wanted to keep it as light as possible, so we didn't want to add anything too much to the bike. In fact, we removed most things off of the bike. It doesn't have any gauges. It doesn't have any turn signals. Everything that's superfluous is not here.
So on the front of the bike, we're using GS style front forks. We're using earlier like 90s GS forks. We're using GS Brembo brakes. And we're also using these GS outside lace spokes. So these are spoke wheels, but they're tubeless, which is kind of a neat feature. Fully polished wheels on the front. And then the fender is a custom fender that I made. Hand-rolled the fender, made the mounts for it, and then had it pinstriped, same color, obviously, as the rest of the bike. This also has our oil cooler off a 90s BMW. So it has an external cooler with a shield that's painted to match the bike. The motor, pretty much stock. The exhaust pipes are ceramic coated all the way back. Flanges and everything are detailed and polished. This piece that houses the starter is all custom made. This isn't stock. And this houses the coils now, so it cleans up the look of the bike. So your coils and all your electronics are in there. As we walk back, the carbs are the larger Bing carburetors, and then it goes into this 2-into-1 intake pipe that I made for the bike. This is all custom made, kind of give it like a hot rod look, inspired, and it's painted to match the bike. Then as we move back, the frame hoop is stock, but it's been modified so it doesn't have any peg mounts on it, because the peg mount would have come back another about 5 inches. The shock is a Works performance shock that they made for this bike, along with the GS rear swing arm and the GS lower arm, which is all polished. The pegs were machined, aftermarket pegs for this bike. The Works shock is it's slightly lower. It's about 1/2 inch lower from stock because we wanted the bike to sit more on the ground. It's fully adjustable collar, and the dampening is adjustable on this shock. The main thing is the height adjustability and the spring rate have been changed to suit the lighter weight bike. Because with the stock shock, the bike was really bouncy because it was so light, and it had a shock that was meant to handle a 400 or 500 pound bike. So this one's a little bit softer. So one of the main custom touches on this bike is the exhaust system that runs up in the tail. So we fabricated this piece, and it flows and it fits flush into the tail of the bike, which was kind of hard to do and get everything to bolt properly. So that is quite tricky to install when you're putting the bike together.